I've been tirelessly looking for a new game to play, something that really got me in the drive to enjoy games again. And then I found it. A game that has been both hated and loved for over a decade now. I'm of course talking about Five Nights at Freddy's, or more commonly known as the abbreviation FNAF. FNAF has always been loved for its simplicity in gameplay, surviving as a night guard through a night shift, with moving robots called animatronics. But I feel like where every fan fell in love was through the deep and never-ending lore that is FNAF. And I needed to understand how such a simple game series on the surface could have brought forth such a big audience and impact on a fan base. That is why I'm not only playing and completing every single game, but I'm also getting a deeper understanding of the story once we are done. If you're excited to join me on this crazy journey, be sure to stick around, because we have a lot to unpack. Enjoy!
Oh my god! No! Please! Move! What the frick is... Oh my... What are you still doing there? Ah! No!
Best game of the series. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are finally doing the ranking of every single FNAF game that I played. I just earlier this year had a marathon of playing every single main FNAF game, and now I'm finally at the end where I'm doing the rankings. If you want more content like this, do not forget to like and subscribe, and comment down below what you want to see on the channel in the future. Quick side note, there are still a few FNAF games that I haven't played. For example, Help Wanted 1 and 2 I haven't played because I know the best option to play it is on VR, and sadly I don't have the option to play it on VR. So I have watched the gameplay on YouTube, and I'm gonna have my verdict of only watching the gameplay. But let's get right into it. And first off, we have FNAF 1, the OG, the one that started it all. The thing is, it's not my favorite mechanics, but it's definitely one of the better ones. And I think where the first one lacks is in the actual lore and storytelling in between the nights. The nights and gameplay is actually really fun, and it did have like a good skill ceiling to it and not too high. For now, I am actually gonna put the first one in S tier. This was actually really good. And how we are going to rank it is from F tier to S tier. S being a perfection in the FNAF franchise, with really good gameplay, amazing storytelling, and the animatronics looking really good. And then we have all the way to F, where the game is just almost unplayable. I didn't have any enjoyment playing it. No, honestly, I'm going to say A. I'm going to say A. I know there is one or two that I prefer over FNAF 1, so I am going to put it in A tier. It's good, but it is missing a few things that I think they refined in future games. And when we talk about refined games, we have FNAF 2. Honestly, the gameplay, amazing. I love the switching between the mask and having the actual music box, because I think that's where the first one lacked. The actual skill ceiling of having something more to juggle with. And I feel like FNAF 2 took that to the next level, having more things to juggle with, especially with the mask, flashing the light, and the music box. And the lore things in between. And we also have some Easter egg lore. Honestly, gameplay-wise, I loved it. S tier. One of my favorite games in the franchise. Alright, here we have a bit of a controversial one. FNAF 3. I know a lot of people hate this one. Honestly, the setting and the animatronic looked so good. I feel like where it lacked was in the gameplay and the actual scares. The scares were not actually doing that much to me. I was just pissed off at them, to be honest. So I wouldn't say it's F, because I still played through it and enjoyed it. And especially the animatronic looked really good. So honestly, I'm gonna say C tier, because it lacked in the gameplay, and the gameplay is a big factor in the game. So I think C tier is a good position for this game. Alright, next up, FNAF 4. I don't think I have to say anything about this one. You already know I love this one. From the amazing style of the Nightmare Freddy to the gameplay, and especially the lore. The lore cutscenes were my favorite thing about the game. I think personally, the gameplay is a bit more lacking than the second one, but when it comes to lore, it's a perfect one. And seeing the Nightmare Freddy, that just sold it for me. It's such a terrifying animatronic that actually got me scared. But alright, up next, we have UCN, Ultimate Custom Night. And this is kind of like a mashup with all the different games. So I think where it stands for me is in B tier. It still lacks having some of the customizations from the bad games, but you also have the customizations of some of the better games. And the lore, yeah, it is alright, but it's not at the top of A or S tier. So I'm gonna put it at B. Alright, next up, we have Five Nights at Freddy's Help Wanted. And I think this is a mix of the first and second one. This is Help Wanted. I'm gonna say this is Help Wanted 1, and this is Help Wanted 2, because I don't know what this one is. The first one, it had the better games in it, and it being VR, you can feel more immersive, but it's kind of standard, I'm not gonna lie. Honestly, yeah, I'm gonna say B. It is lacking in a few things. I respect them trying new stuff to innovate the things that the other FNAF games had. But it just feels like a cheap version of every single FNAF game before it. Alright, up next, we have Pizza Sim. You know what? I'm gonna put it here. The thing is, I didn't even finish it. It was so unenjoyable and unplayable for me that I didn't even finish it. And I'm not one to just give up on games, honestly, but this was just too much for me. The only enjoyable part of the game was the actual tycoon styled thing we had, but that was not even the gameplay. The thing that FNAF games are famous about is the night guard shifts, and the night guard shifts was so boring. To me, the mechanics was worse than the third one, and I just didn't feel any enjoyment playing it. Yeah, fair, the lore was decent, but the overall enjoyment for me personally was not there. Yeah, you can say like, oh, you didn't understand it, so that's why you don't like it. I watched a lot of guides how to do it, and I still didn't think it was a fun game. Up until now, there's been a new game-breaking mechanic in every single game, and this one was just not it. If it was only the tycoon thing mixed with mechanics of the third one, it would maybe be up here. But it's not, so I'm gonna put it in F tier. I honestly hated it, and I haven't finished it. Let me know in the comments if that's a really hot take, and I might go back to playing it. You've watched this far and haven't subscribed yet. What are you doing? Subscribe. We're in a sub war right now with Nordic Way. You're probably gonna be like, what do you mean, Nay? It's just a wholesome family exploration channel. No, that's just a facade that they want you to see. There's so much more than that, and we need to overtake them. You know why? Because every time, it doesn't matter what social media, if you type my name, it autocorrects to theirs. So we need to overtake them to take the top spot. Join me, chat. This is the next T-Series versus PewDiePie. Maybe not on the same level, but you get what I mean. Subscribe. I really need the support. All right, back to the game. All right, up next, we have FNAF Sister Location. I have such a hate-love relationship with this game. For one, I think it was night 4. Ooh, that almost ended the whole marathon for me. I'm gonna say it now. Sister Location night 4 almost ended the whole thing. But honestly, it was great. It felt like the refreshment that Pizza Sim was going for, but actually succeeding with it. And I feel like lore-wise, it really, really succeeded in my opinion. So honestly, I'm gonna put it at the top of B. It's not really at A because it lacked in some aspects. I think the gameplay running between the rooms with Bellora was kind of meh. It wasn't really that intense, except the one where it was completely dark and Bellora was just helping us get out the room. That one was actually tense. But other than that, I didn't really feel it. And lore-wise, it wasn't at the point of being like FNAF 4 or FNAF 2. Sure, the lore was better than the first one, but it just lacked with the gameplay. And for me, gameplay is more important than the lore. All right, FNAF World, I haven't played, sadly. So we're gonna jump into the one I'm calling Help Wanted 2. Honestly, it's just a copy-paste of the first one with just worse games. So I'm gonna put it at low C tier. I know it's trying to do a new game-breaking thing into the FNAF franchise, but it just didn't do the same things that the first one did. That's why I'm putting it at C. Odyssey, what is this one? Odyssey in space? Or what is this? All right, I just added Ruin because we are doing a different tier for that compared to the actual first game. Okay, we are on to the last two games. FNAF Security Breach and FNAF Ruin, the DLC of Security Breach. But I feel like it's big enough to be in its own tier. This one is really hard for me. Okay, Security Breach, I'm gonna put it where I think it is, and I'm gonna explain why after. It's right in the middle of B tier. Like, fine, the gameplay so different, and it had so many aspects that the earlier games couldn't capture, but it just felt so childish at the point where it wasn't even scary at any point. The actual scary thing in the game was Freddy glitching around and like scaring me, and that's not supposed to be the thing. And don't get me started on the actual game-breaking glitches that I found. It actually put me so off the game that it was more a comedy game than an actual horror game. And I don't think that's what they're trying to capture. I know it's more like new generation, how it's like very fancy and all this, but it didn't really capture what I was looking for going into a FNAF game. Like, sure, if this was another franchise going for more like Poppy Playtime, mixing comedy with horror, fine. Then it was maybe A tier. It just felt like such a rushed game, especially the endings. When I watched through all the endings, it looked like a free game. How can you have like these comic things switching around and having me feeling invested in the actual story? Just put more time and effort into it and making an actual animated scene for me. I didn't want these like comic book things having this cuck Freddy saying I'm his favorite superstar, or whatever he said. It's such an MCU cringe fest, in my opinion. No, it's not C tier, because some of the gameplay was actually really enjoyable. The only thing that stands out is the actual refreshment of the gameplay, and that's why I'm putting it in B tier. And on to the last one. Honestly, bottom of A tier. The setting and the atmosphere, top tier. This is what the original game actually missed out on, and I just felt like the DLC was better than the actual first game, and I feel like they were just rushed in production doing the actual game. But where Ruin lacked so much was in the mechanics. The node mechanics, one of the worst mechanics in the whole game. The story, what the mimic, the atmosphere, the gameplay actually feeling scary, that just puts it in A for me. The mechanic of doing the node and so overused throughout the whole game. Like, I feel like literally 70% of the game was this ghost virus thing hunting us and us doing this boring kids node system game. It was just really boring, but I think all the other things except the mechanics carry the story in Ruin. So for me, Ruin is better than the actual game. And chat, there you have it. This is my finished ranking of every single FNAF game that we played. From the stinky pizza sim all the way to FNAF 4 and 2, top tier games in the franchise. And honestly, I would put those two games fairly high in normal game ratings. Not at S tier, but maybe at like B or A. Honestly, I really enjoy them. And when you actually got the gist of the original games and mechanics, it was really fun juggling around all the things and had some sort of reward for me that most of these games didn't have. For example, Pizza Sim and the original Security Breach. But yep, there you have it, chat. If you want more content like this, subscribe. I have a lot more exciting things for next year, so stay tuned for it. Much love for this year, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.